Where we are in a U.S. versus China world, how are you affected?
It's possible that trade patterns shift. So to the extent that China needs imports of polyethylene, maybe some of those imports come from other places, and then U.S. goes behind and exports to the countries where there's a new shortage.
Well, I was going to ask, so I can infer that means that some of your European products would go to China, and then your U.S. products would go to Europe to kind of backstop the loss that they got from exporting.
Possibly.
Is that something that you can actually do?
Possibly. I think more likely will be some of our product from the Middle East. More of it could go to Asia, because Europe is becoming very balanced and if not short now. So we think Europe is going to have its own import needs.
How flexible is your business to be able to manage?
Very flexible because we have similar types of assets around the world, and supply chains can shift within 60 days very easily to supply other regions.
Do you think that the trade war could dampen the money that we've seen flow into the U.S. petrochem world?
I think this is very real, and I think this is sort of the long-term impact that we have to keep an eye on. It could impact how much we build in the U.S. to capture shale gas, depending on end markets. It also could result in more investment in the end market itself, rather than here in the U.S. and us supplying the world, if you will. So we're thinking through that, and we're thinking through the implications. Certainly, you know, it's in a way a tax, if you will, and it reduces the returns on our projects.
So far, anything been delayed in your industry?
So because of trade?
Yeah.
No, not that I know of.
What would scare you the most? Like, what would you need to see or hear or see a tweet from that would say, okay, guys, got to put the brakes on. We have to really think about this.
You know, look, ultimately, what I look for is, does China need the imports of polyethylene? Mm-hmm. Or are they going to build the plants themselves?
So if they start
That's what we'll look for.
If they start putting money to plants, or if they start getting it from somewhere else that's not you.
Right. Well, then we'll look for if they're getting it from somewhere else, mm-hmm. then how is that demand being met? So again, go back to what I said about trade patterns shifting. But ultimately, we care about global supply-demand, mm-hmm. and we want to know that global supply-demand balance is such that more capacity is indeed needed.
And I just want to, I know you're chairman of the American Chemistry Council, and the president said the other week that raising tariffs on $16 billion of Chinese chemicals and plastics to 25% from 10% would be devastating for U.S. chemical manufacturers.
Well, it would significantly impact margins for our products. So we've been talking to the administration about the impact on chemicals, and frankly, my concern is more about longer-term investment, structural decisions that are made. And if you think about when we invest in new capacity, we're building a plant that's going to last 50 years. So it's not as if we can change that tomorrow and go build it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Once those decisions are made, they're pretty durable, and they last multiple decades.